Hey, what's up guys, it's Disturbed, and today I'm going to be doing sort of like a guide video on how to turn a decent or a bad build or your current build into a better build or like a good build with your current gear and what you have at your disposal. So basically I'm just on this guy's account. He paid me 10 bucks just to make his build really good. So I'm just going to be showing you guys the process that I personally go through and trying to make somebody's build better than what it was before and what things to look out for, etc. So that you guys know what it looks like, and hopefully you can learn something in the process on how to make your build better and improve it yourself. This video might be kind of a mess, my bad. It's just because I'm going to be like thinking out loud and doing things spontaneously, and it's not like an intensive or an in-depth guide. It's just me improving this guy's build, so hopefully it can help you guys out and you can take all the information that you learn here and incorporate it into your own build when you're making your build. So starting off, this guy said that he wanted a PvP build for, just melting people. He said specifically he wants to do a lot of damage. So first off, first thing that comes in mind is Alpha Bridge. Now I looked at his gear and he does have a lot of Alpha Bridge pieces, so he could definitely put the set together, but the problem with that is that he doesn't have the right gun talents for it. Like, you need you can have one really good gun and then the other gun can have something like Unforgiving, Competent, and X, Y, and Z. You just need really good gun talents and good gun synergy, and the problem is that he doesn't have those guns. He has a lot of guns with repeat talents such as Brutal and Deadly and Responsive and whatnot, and trust me, I can't make the Alpha Bridge build. I already looked and he already re-rolled multiple things. So for me, I can't make the Alpha Bridge build because it just wouldn't be worth it at this point, because the other three talents just are going to waste because they aren't giving him any extra damage. And he wants to be able to melt people, so Alpha Bridge is off the table. The next build that comes into mind is Sentry, and he does have the pieces for it. And with Sentry and PvP, you're going to be using a shotgun, and I actually checked this out, and you can reroll, he can reroll Swift on the shotgun and then get like Brutal, Deadly, and Unforgiving, which actually isn't terrible. You should be able to two-shot people with this, considering that his build is actually going to be pretty nice because he has a lot of good talents. He can't reroll this one, but this one will be really good for PvE. And that's another great thing about Sentry, is that it works for both PvP and PvE. It's the best build in PvE, and it's pretty good in PvP. So I decided to go with Sentry, so I'm just going to be showing you guys what it looks like to put that build together. Now, a few things, in between this video, I'm just going to be kind of talking and guiding you guys, and then I'm also just going to be thinking out loud and showing you guys what I'm doing. So the reason I'm deciding which gear set to make, as opposed to like, oh, let's see what piece makes my DPS go up higher, that doesn't matter. All that matters is that the gear set bonuses you're getting. Like, as I can see from this guy's build or what he was trying to do, it really looks like he was just trying to buff up his stats and get his DPS number as high as he could, or his toughness or his skill power as high as he could. I'm not 100%, but that's what a lot of people do, especially using Firecrest, because Firecrest inflates the DPS. I'm not going to get into Firecrest right now, but as you can see, these other two pieces just are going to complete waste. Like, you want to try to maximize how many gear set bonuses you're using. Like, if you have to use 3 pieces of one build, then try to, fix that out. Like right here, these pieces are just being wasted, but you could get 2-piece blind or 2-piece tactician or 2-piece something else. And, that's really what matters when making a build. All that matters is the gear set bonuses. So like I said, I'm going to be making him a Sentry build. So I'm just going to be putting all the Sentry pieces together real quick. So this Sentry piece has crit damage, and that one's a 240, so I'm just going to put this one. Right now I'm just going to put all the pieces on and just see how it works out. So now I'm going to put on some gloves. These are actually perfect for PvP. I usually run Savage instead of Reckless when using a Sentry build, because you want the crit chance, and the extra damage isn't always that good. Also, you take more damage, so it's a trade-off. Alright, so he also has a Sentry chest piece, it's pretty nice, and then he does have a Sentry mask, awesome, and then Sentry knee pads, awesome. Alright, so far it's actually pretty perfect. Now I'm just going to take off all the mods. Alright, let's see if we have to re-roll anything. Alright, so for the chest piece in PvP, you want, okay, he already rolled stamina, but in PvP, you want, instead of damage to elites, you want exotic damage resilience and armor in PvP. In PvE, you can go for damage to elites, that's pretty good too. Right now, I'm not going to re-roll this because it really doesn't matter that much, so I'm just going to keep with this. And then on the backpack, he rolled for stamina. Oh, wrong backpack, my bad. He rolled for crit damage. For PvP, if he wants to be able to one-shot people with the shotgun build, you want as much damage as possible, so crit damage is really nice for that. For the gloves, he rolled for shotgun damage, and he is going to be using a shotgun, so that's pretty much perfect there. For the holster, he already rolled that, that's fine. And for the knee pads, he rolled for crit damage, that's fine. Did I skip past the mask? I think I accidentally went past the mask. Yeah, I did. Alright. For the mask, he already rolled for stamina, but on a mask, like he has right here, he has health on kill. You would preferably want skill power, and this is one thing that you guys want to look out for when making your build. Try not to reroll stamina or firearms or stuff just to make it benefit that one build, because you can easily switch out your firearms and your stamina with gear mods and whatnot, and then switching out another piece. So, you know, as you can see right here, like he rolled for stamina, maybe it had electronics, but if it was firearms, it would have been fine. I'm not saying he did do this, but it's a possibility that he re-rolled from firearms to stamina just because he needed stamina for that certain build that he was using, instead of re-rolling health on kill to skill power. So now he kind of butchered this. The mask, it really isn't that big of a deal, but on something like a backpack or knee pads, if it has like a complete wasted stat, it kind of sucks and ruins that piece and makes it almost unusable. So try to stray away from just rolling base stats and just make sure that the major attribute is good on it. But only roll the base stat if you have to, if it's like electronics or something and you really can't use that for your build. But like, for example, right here, let's say I needed firearms for my current build, I wouldn't just roll this for firearms because the main stat is health. So I'd re-roll for skill power, so that, you know, because that's a lot better, and then I could just try to get the extra firearms by putting in gear mods or switching out another piece. Just thought I would mention that. So right now his build's doing pretty good. There isn't really anything that I can re-roll, so that's pretty nice. So now what I'm going to do is just be putting in some mods. So first off, what I see is that his skill power is really low, and that he needs more firearms to unlock the gun talents. Then past that, I'm going to put literally every single thing into toughness. So let's see if his armor capped. Alright, so he's not armor capped, so we need to get some mods that have armor on them and skill power. So he has a crap load of these mods in here, so I'm going to be looking through these. Alright, none of them have skill power armor. Stamina skill power, that's nice. Firearms crit chance. Electronic skill power, firearms skill power, I'll take that. Stamina armor, alright, awesome. Stamina crit chance, stamina skill power, nice. And let's see if he has another one. It might be a little bit better. I'll take that out just in case. Alright. First order of business, let's get him armor capped. So putting that on gets him armor capped. Awesome. Okay. Now what we're going to do is unlock gun talents. So I'm going to be using this that has skill power on it. And then literally everything else I'm just going to put into toughness. Actually, let's put one more firearms mod, just because I don't want his firearms to be under 3k. Let's just give him 3k. Alright, there we go. Now, one thing that a lot of you guys might have seen is that his DPS statistic did go down, but the thing about DPS statistic is that it really doesn't matter, honestly. He also lost 300 firearms, but Firecrest inflates that number, and really all that matters is your gear set bonuses, and with Sentry you can increase your damage by 50% when using a shotgun, and you get the extra headshot damage, and against NPCs you get damage to elites, which is just an astronomical amount of DPS that you're gaining. But with his current build, all he was getting was 14% damage from Reckless and then the 3-piece from Firecrest, but the DPS made it go way up. So that just shows you that the DPS stat doesn't really matter, and it's all about gear sets. And like another thing is that Savage Gloves doesn't count towards your DPS because it's seen as situational because it's against targets out of cover. But Savage is actually, you know, most targets are out of cover, so it's basically just 14% increased crit chance, which can increase your DPS by upwards of like 100k. It's like a really, really high damage per second increase. So Savage is just, you know, that's just an example of the DPS statistic not taking things into account and just showing you guys how certain things don't really matter. So as you can see right now, his build is looking pretty nice. He got 3k firearms, really high toughness, and some pretty decent skill power. Now, the reason that his skill power is low is because he doesn't have it on his mask, and that kind of does hurt him a little bit, but, you know, hopefully in the future he will find a mask upgrade. That's probably what he needs. But anyways, let's start to look at his guns. So first order of business, let's get his M8 on it. So he has this M8 with Swift, Deadly, Unforgiving, and some pretty high base damage. So now we're going to mod this bad boy. So for the scope, you want headshot damage and crit chance always, always, always. This one has a little bit higher. Gotta make sure to get that pink camo on there. Without a pink camo, it sucks. Alright, and then on an M8, you probably want weapon damage. So let's put that on there. And then for the grip, since you're going to be flick shotting, stability isn't really that nice, but accuracy is. So I'm probably just going to be going with, on an M8, it really doesn't matter as long as you can get accuracy on it, because you are going to be flick shotting, like I said. So I'm just going to be going with accuracy and hip fire accuracy so that he can hip fire NPCs or something if he wants to with better accuracy. For the next gun, I would suggest using an SMG since he's going to be using Sentry. or yeah, since he's going to be using sentry, so his main gun is going to be a shotgun, and then when he runs out of ammo or he needs to shoot people, he wants to use an SMG. So this AUG has brutal and deadly on it, which is pretty nice. And then he has an MP7 with deadly, unforgiving, capable, but this is a 182, so it's pretty bad with the base damage and everything. And then he has a PP19 with brutal and responsive. So right here, usually the PP19 is going to be way better than the AUG is, but the thing about the AUG is that it has better talents if I can roll it. But brutal and responsive is probably going to be better than brutal and deadly is in PvP, like I explained in a previous video. If you haven't watched that out, make sure to check it out. But as you can see right here, I can actually re-roll determined and get responsive, and in that case that would make up for the lost base damage, and it would actually make the gun a little bit better. So I'm just going to see if I can get responsive. Alright, I didn't get responsive, so he can use this gun against NPCs. Brutal, deadly, destructive is literally perfect against NPCs. So in PvE, he's probably going to be using that AUG, but in PvP, he's going to be using this PP19 because it has brutal and responsive, and destructive doesn't work in PvP. So now we're just going to be modding this bad boy. So we're going to get, again, headshot damage and crit chance on the scope. And then for this, oh, he already has it perfectly. You want weapon damage and rate of fire in PvP because you want burst damage as opposed to sustained damage, and burst damage is all that counts. You want to be able to kill them as fast as possible. As you can see, the DPS stat wants me to go for extended mag and rate of fire, but you know, trusting the DPS stat isn't always the best thing to do. You want what is best for your build and not just to boost this number up. I could be like, oh, I'm going to get my DPS number really high and put on an accuracy scope and all this stuff, but I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent. But for the magazine, that's great. Weapon damage and rate of fire, perfect, because with the PP19, gives you extra burst damage, and you still have a mag of 53, so that's really nice. And then for the flash hider, he doesn't need crit chance anymore because he is using Savage Gloves, and he's probably going to be crit capped when somebody uses a pulse. So I would say go for crit damage, and since he is using a PP19, the accuracy spread is a little bit horrendous, so getting accuracy on the muzzle does help combat that, and you do want crit damage to maximize the amount of damage you're doing. So right now, his build is looking pretty good. I mean, as you can see, you know, his DPS stat, it went down by 40k. Oh my god, Disturb, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But his toughness went up, and he's getting gear set bonuses, and he's getting extra crit chance. And, you know, with Sentry, he should be able to almost two-shot people, if not one-shot them right now. The problem is, though, is that this M8 still has Swift on it, but if he is watching this video, you need to reroll Swift off of this and get either destructive, or not destructive, what am I saying? Responsive or brutal, and then that will allow you to either one-shot or two-shot people. Right now, you should be able to two-shot people. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. Pretty much everything set up nicely in terms of like actually benefiting yourself and like replacing gear. Just replace this mask for a mask with skill power on it. And then one other thing that you might be able to do is that your armor is a little bit low. So, yeah, it's because of your chest piece. Your chest piece doesn't have that high of an armor roll on it, which is kind of a problem. But I did pick this chest piece out of the other ones that you had because this one had a higher amount of stamina on it. So if you could, try to get a better chest piece with like 200 or so more armor, 100 to 200 give or take, because with the extra armor, then I don't have to use an armor mod, and then I could use another skill power mod, getting your skill power even higher. Besides that, the build's really nice. He has crit damage on the backpack, which is great. The Savage Gloves are great. They got crit damage and crit chance. The holster's great. It has armor and really good base stats. The knee pads are great. They got crit damage on them. And then the mask is also, it's decent. You know, you need to get skill power on that. And then the chest piece, if you could, again, try to get another one that has higher armor roll, and then try to get exotic damage resilience so that sticky bombs don't fully one-shot you. Another thing to mention is that when you're doing PvE content, this build right now is solely for PvP, but when you're going to do PvE, I would suggest switching this PP19 to an M1A. You have a pretty good M1A right here. I'd probably reroll prepared if I could, but this one's pretty nice. It's not terrible. So I would just switch the PP19 to the M1A, and then switch your shotgun to the SASG with responsive, accurate, and deadly. You could decide to keep the M8. It's just really up to personal preference. The SASG does end up doing more damage than the M8 does in PvE, but in PvP it's all about flick shotting and trying to get, trying to one-shot people. So that's what matters. Now, one quick thing I'm going to look at is his talents and his skills. For your skill, if he's not running with somebody else using Pulse, he wants to use Pulse himself to max out crit chance and crit damage so that he can one-shot people. And then for his other talents, I see a lot of people using On the Move, but right now, oh, that's Steady Hands actually. So yeah, right now that's going to be completely pointless. One is None is amazing with shotguns, So I definitely suggest using that. And then in a team composition, I would suggest switching out Adrenaline for Triage so that you can heal an ally with a skill. You can use On the Move, kill hostile while moving to reduce incoming damage, but I just don't think it's that great, and especially in PvP, because you're not going to be killing people that often, and when you are, it's only 30% reduced damage, which really isn't that big of a deal. So in PvP, I would just say this is the God Talent combo. If he was going to remove anything, he could remove Precision, and because he is going to be having a pulse up almost all the time. If you got a skill power up a little bit higher and he triaged a lot, he'd have his pulse up all the time. So we could decide to switch out Precision and then go for Triage and Adrenaline so that Adrenaline heals him more. But for now, since his skill power isn't that high, he wants Precision just to do a little bit of extra damage against NPCs. If he's going to be doing solo play, I would say use Adrenaline, but in a team comp, I would use Triage to reduce your skills cooldowns, and you can get your heal back almost instantly. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I think that I made his build much better than what it was before. Now he can actually go into PvP and do a pretty good amount of damage to people with his shotgun, almost one-shotting them, or two-shotting them, if not already one-shotting them. If he got a better mask, so his pulse would do more, and then he rerolled Swift off of his M8, he would definitely be one-shotting people. So that's really good. I'm really happy about how his build turned out. He has really high toughness and really high firearms, so he has a pretty good build right now. So I hope that you guys learned something from this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you do want me to get on your account and make your build better, if this wasn't informative enough and you just really want somebody else to do it for you and try to make your build as good as possible, I can definitely do that. I have a video talking about where it's like a service. If you give me $10, I can get on your account and do it. I would do it for free, but the problem with that is that it literally would take me hours. Like, I'd just be sitting here doing people's accounts for free constantly over and over, and that just really isn't productive. Like, I'm not gaining anything out of that. I am helping people, but I'd just be sitting here for hours, and I see it as a service. You wouldn't go up to the person doing your taxes and ask them to do it for free. You wouldn't go to a barber shop and say, you know how to cut my hair, so do it for free. That's not how the world works, you guys. You're paying for my time, and if that's not enough, or if you think that's too much and you don't want to do that, that's what this video is for. So hopefully you learned something, guys. Sorry I'm going off on a tangent. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed or you learned something, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. I'll see you later, guys.